Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Welcome back to another episode of our NXT Arrives save here on TEW 2020. We are doing a NXT 2014 save, talking about post-arrival of NXT, and we had a couple episodes in the bag, not too bad. Obviously, we have some issues with Bo Dallas and Sin Cara leaving soon. We have no actual events yet, because at this point in the history of NXT, I think we were doing something along the lines of like 4 or 5 a year or something like that. I think the next one we have coming up is Takeover, which would be actually the first ever Takeover in May. So we have some time. So a lot of our story beats are going to be happening on the show itself. Not a big deal, but something to keep in mind, because obviously we have only a couple days for 19 days for Bo Dallas to leave and depart us. Sin Cara also getting called up before we ever had the real opportunity to utilize him in the Lucha Dragons. But that is the name of the game. Unfortunately, we are at the whims of WWE and how they want to, who they want to pull up and you know how they want to do that. So definitely a problem. Now, one of the things we have to do beforehand, we were having issues with our refereeing. I believe Drake was our problem, mostly. So let's take a look here. Drake as a referee, what is your problem? Refereeing 0 to 45. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here real quick. We could do this two ways, but I feel like I want to see what his actual number is, because I do not believe Drake is at a 0 for wrestling, if that is what it shows up as. So, you know, we have to tweak this save as we go sometimes, and that is what it is. What's your actual refereeing? Is that 0? That's ridiculous. I'm fine with 45. We'll put him at that 45 range, I think. Because he, you know what, we'll just do 50. He knows how to ref. The idea that he doesn't is kind of ridiculous. And we'll throw that in there, and that should solve that problem. Now, the other thing, though, we do have to look at is our road agents. We might wait until the next episode, but I think we were having some issues with our road agents in just terms of composition. The other thing we want to look at is our buddy, let's see where he is here, Corey Graves. Now, Corey Graves, currently available to work, not work. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. I don't know if he, in the save, he was officially out for concussion permanently or not. We obviously have a ton of attributes, because one of the things we did in the game is we added a ton of attributes for people. Obviously, he has a troublesome neck and history of concussions, so we can still do stuff with him. I do want to potentially set him as a color commentator, which I don't think we can do yet. Let's talk to him and see what his thoughts are on that. Okay, I could do that. Perfect. So he's okay with that idea. So we'll bring him into color commentary. You know, he's got that history of concussions. We could still work with him, but at a certain point, we don't know if he is going to just fall apart medically. So something we'll have to look at. I don't know if the new medical screen will show us a history of issues. Let's see. No, I don't think so. Broken neck. When did that happen? My dude. Ouch. We're still waiting on Enzo for a while. So that's probably our longest one. I almost anticipate that they'll get called up before we'll get to use them. But that's the name of the game. So we'll have to constantly deal with bringing people in. Now, the other thing people had mentioned is that with the contract that we set up for Kevin Steen here, Kevin Owens, it might have been set not as a developmental I don't think it matters anymore because I'm looking here. I don't see an actual developmental template here. Like I'm going to hire you as a developmental contract. So some of the people were saying that they were thinking that possibly he would stay here permanently. I don't think that's the case. I believe we have the option to hire people ourselves. We're not just given what we're given by WWE. And I think if we hire somebody, he can get called up as well. But we'll see. If all of a sudden Kevin Owens stays at NXT for 5 years, we'll know maybe we screwed up. We don't know. And at a certain point, hopefully the mod makers of this mod end up balancing it out. And if that's the case, what we'll do is we'll probably transfer it over to a more balanced mod. This thing is, I know some people have been asking for the save for it, but it is literally a house of cards that I have just assembled. So I do not know how well the mod will last. Just simply because I'm not a mod maker. I don't know a thing about balancing. I have a feeling I probably already misbalanced our budget, but we'll see. We'll deal with it. So, keep an eye out if they ever actually update the Miracle on Bourbon Street mod for 2020. We'll probably transfer all of our data over, kind of like just rebuild it and bring it over that way. But that's enough of the backstage drama. We do have a episode of NXT Wrestling to book. A couple storylines are ready to go through. Obviously, we still have our tournament. We still have the Bo Leave storyline. We still have Baron Corbin, Sami. We just started the Leo Kruger, Bull Dempsey storyline. And we have an Ascension thing for Lucha Dragons and Ascension. I think we're going to have to do that pretty quickly because with them leaving, with Sin Cara leaving, we're going to have to be forced to give Kalisto a singles run, something that did not happen in NXT. And we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with that. All right, let's go ahead and get on over to the show. All right, what do we got going on in the news? Nothing incredible. Authority got disbanded. A lot of the tag teams and other groups are disbanding. For some reason, I might have to look at that off the line and see what's going on. But it's kind of funny. What do we got going here? Oh no, Natalia just got divorced. Well then, that's a problem. That's unfortunate, but that is what it is. And we got a lot of extensions. WWE's doing a lot of extending deals and stuff like that. It will remain at NXT, So they're dealing with the behind the scenes here going on. But we also got 2 call-up warnings. Jamie Noble, which is fine. Currently just working behind the scenes for us right now. And William Regal, which is most unfortunate because he is sort of our, our authority figure. Though not so much right now. That kind of happens a little bit later. So we'll have to maybe establish a new authority figure because with him bouncing up, that will be a problem. Interesting that they took them. I'm guessing that they needed a either a color commentator or a road agent. I also think he is currently one of our announcers. So it may be time to actually bring in our buddy with the concussions in. Corey Graves might just need to go and straight up go into color commentary. What is your commentary ability right now? Could be really good. Why don't we throw that on? Well, yeah, let's do it now. Let's throw him onto the scene, and that way we can kind of prepare for that instead of getting caught with our pants down. So announcers, I think we'll pull Regal off. We'll bring in Corey Graves for wrestling as well. And unfortunate, but we have a weakness in our announcing, which is an issue. We might have to look for announcers to scout for in the future. because we do not have a good play-by-play announcer. Right now we have a lot of color, no actual announcing ability. I think, was Regal more? Yeah, Regal was low anyways. So either way, we have Alex Riley on a color commentary, Corey Graves on a color commentary, and Renee Young on a color commentary. What we need to find someone that has some strength in general announcing. Why don't we do that real quick? We'll take a look at what's out there. So I'm going to say for color commentary, I'm looking for, or for not color commentary, for announcing. Let's say anybody that's 45 up, to hire. Oh, that's a lot of people. Okay, that might be too much. Or did I not save that? No, I did save that. Based in USA, can work in USA, and let's just say they are an announcer. There we go, a little bit better. Anybody we can pull up? We could hire Excalibur, and steal him from PWG, which would be interesting. What's your announcing like? Announcing's pretty high. Jim Ross, who is currently unemployed, has a fantastic announcing. Mauro Ranallo is decent announcing. Currently working for several places. Super Dragon. Matt Stryker, currently working at ECCW. Has decent, pretty good. So, I mean, there's definitely options. Jim Ross makes the most sense. Right now, at this point, he's on a hiatus. So probably can't get him in. Maybe we bring in Mauro early and we give him a contract. I want you as an exclusive written. Looks fine for 1 year, sure. That looks fine to me. 10%. No one's making Mauro Ranallo shirts, so it'll be fine. Financially becoming exclusive to you. Well, what are your? Let's see. What's your job history here? What you're working both of these? I wonder what you're being paid. What if we make it What if we give you a monthly? Oh my god. How are you valued that high? Wait a second. Hold on. Tell me if this makes sense. We have 4 shows a month at $600. Or we have 4 shows a month for $23,000. Something does not add up there. Am I going crazy? That is a huge difference in what that would be. I mean, maybe not that much huge, but something seems wrong about that. Because what's the difference between that? That's all right. Yeah, that's a huge difference. It's not. So for second there, I was like, well, no, it's like $24. No, it's $2,400 versus $23,000. Why? What the heck? Okay. So let's look at this at maybe. What if we gave you $1,000 a show? $630 is as high as we're gonna allow. Well, I don't think he's gonna join us. Okay, so we're not gonna get Mauro. I'm not willing to do $23,000 a month versus paying him $2,400. That's ridiculous. I mean, I could try to do an exclusive handshake. Only written contracts, yeah. And just let him walk if he wants. No, he's not interested at all. So that's going to be an issue in just terms of, do we bring anybody else in? Because we could really use the announcing ability. It'd be weird to bring in Matt Stryker, but it'd be something. Let's see. Let's give you a exclusive written ironclad $1,500 per show. See, like, that makes a little bit more sense, I guess. And 10%. I don't know if he's going to take this. I don't think at this point anybody's going to really take an exclusive offer from us in terms of announcing, because we're just not providing it. So this is going to be a problem, is we're going to have probably a issue with announcing depth, which is unfortunate. Well, Corey Graves has a potentially up to 45. Alex Riley has potentially up to 45. So, there's some potential. Like, Renee cannot announce, but maybe these guys can at least hold something. We'll look at what kind of penalties we end up getting. All right. Let us go ahead and get to the show. Let's get on over to the Full Sail Arena. Which, again, I'm kind of upset that we have no way to really make a venue and produce a bigger one. We changed the name just to kind of make it a little bit more realistic, but ultimately, though, we still have no way to change it. It is actually owned by WBE and the Save, so they can potentially increase the venue size, but we don't have any options to actually increase or lower because we can't have investments as a child company, which is kind of a bummer. But that is what it is. We are expecting 133 fans, so for now the capacity will be fine. But in the future we might have a problem. No backstage incidents. We do have some absent workers, but they are pretty much what we expected. Kevin Owens is still finishing out his contract in Ring of Honor, so we will not have him for a little bit, for like another week or so. And locker room controls, I think we want to potentially get a medal from somebody. Let's do English and Mojo Rawley. Why not? Apparently did not work. All right. That's fine. Let's go ahead and let's book the show, and we'll come back and see what is on the card for tonight. Alright guys, we are ready for our episode of NXT Wrestling. What do we have on the plate for today? Well, it's a pretty big show, including some pre-show matches, but the big headliners definitely are our continuation of our NXT Women's Tournament. We have Charlotte versus Bayley going on in the first round. In addition to that match, we have Baron Corbin back in action tonight. We also have Sami Zayn versus Tyson Kidd in our main event. So let's go ahead and let's see how the show shakes out. So we're going to start off with two pre-show matches. Some of this is just me figuring out in a safe environment what some of these performances some of these performers' skill sets are. What are their in-ring performances? Do they have any jive with other wrestlers? What's kind of going on? And as well as to give them some momentum and something to do. So as they're not aired, they're not really going to affect the show. I just kind of want to see where they are. So Trey McLean, who we have in the roster, who I'm not familiar with at all, did abysmally. Ty did 43, Tyson did 46, and Jason Jordan did 29, who needs a lot of development. Tyler Breeze defeats them all in 12 minutes. So interesting. So 36. So we kind of know where they are. Tyler and Ty are basically about even in performance. Jason Jordan needs a little more development. We might need to move him into a tag team. I think he's already in a tag team. But maybe move him into one with a stronger partner. Maybe Callisto. Maybe we form American Dragons or something like that. After that, we have another pre-show match: Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch versus Rachel, whatever, Vicky Guerrero's daughter, and Emma. Who I gotta find out what her real name's Shaw, right? I think I'm gonna change it to that, and because I don't know why you would not want to rep the Guerrero name. I don't know why they named her this, but you should you should be saying, hey, this is Eddie Guerrero's daughter, right? I think it's his daughter. I don't think it's Vicky's. I don't know. I'll take a look at it, but we're definitely going to probably change it. Some of you guys probably know what the lineage is. I'm not really familiar with her. And then Emma, obviously, hasn't really had a match here. Who's still the bubbly baby face at this point with the bubbles. It's a very short pre-show match. It's also abysmal. Sasha Banks had a 16. Becky Lynch had a 36. Emma had a 29. Rachel had a 31. And Sasha and Becky defeat them in 5 minutes with Becky getting the win because she had a loss last time. Trying to give her a little bit of a rubber band. Sasha Banks got a lot of static from a vocal crowd who clearly wasn't impressed. Kind of interesting. I'm not sure why her penalized for a negative crowd reaction, for inconsistency, awful gimmick, poor use of slow and steady attribute. Interesting. Okay, so Sasha, we have to manage a little bit differently, I think. And we also have to look at her gimmick and maybe modify it a bit. We start the show off proper with Blake and Murphy. For some reason, Murphy doesn't have a picture here. We have... Blake doesn't have a picture. I don't know why. We'll have to kind of add one. I'm going to probably also do a little bit of changes. I don't like the backgrounds to these images, so I might end up making like a custom NXT style background for these. I haven't decided yet what I kind of want to do with them, but maybe I'll add some newer images in the meantime, but it's just a little bland looking. Lucha Dragons get a win over Blake and Murphy, who at this point are just kind of jobbing around. They're not really anything, though Blake showing potential with that 37. They defeat him in 5 minutes. Kalisto gets the pin. We're not going to give Sin Cara a pin because Sin Cara is going to be moving up, so I'd rather try to build Kalisto for a bit. Sin Cara had a 46, definitely the veteran of the bunch. We gain heat for the Ascension Rises storyline, and a vocal crowd just is not interested in Wesley Blake right now, which probably was accurate for the time. It was really once Alexa Bliss and the kind of rebranding that people kind of started to dig him. And get a 38. It's not bad. Afterwards, the Ascension come out and beat the crap out of the Lucha Dragons, standing over them in dominance, saying that, like, hey, we saw you, we see you're trying to become the next thing, and we're going to take you out in the process. Basically kind of calling the shot that they know that they're going to be the next contenders, and that you ain't going to topple the Ascension. And the Ascension stand tall in this encounter and leave Kalisto and Sin Cara on the ground. Gets a 24. It's not great. We actually lose heat from this, which is unfortunate. We have Connor and Victor both have a poor gimmick, and we need to probably deal with that, because I think that probably hurt us the most. They were scored on Menace here, which I think one of them actually has weak in Menace, so that's probably what hurt us the most as well. Afterwards, we have an interview with Corey Graves' new commentator, kind of working the mic a little bit. Axel Keegan is our road agent that we need to probably look at getting rid of, actually, now that I remember. Neville has an interview with Corey Graves, who's working backstage now for a bit. And Corey Graves asked him, hey, listen, what's going on with Bo Dallas? He's been, obviously offering a challenge, but we've not heard any confirmation of a match. And Neville says, honestly, he's not interested in that match. And he told backstage, he told the leaders that he's not really interested in Bo Dallas right now. He's beat him. He's done with that. And he's looking for new challengers, and he wants to, raise and elevate the NXT championship. And he doesn't think, beating someone who lost it, who was quote unquote never a credible champion, will do anything to elevate the title. Instead, he wants to challenge and face the best in the world and the best NXT has to offer. So kind of dismissing Bo Dallas completely here. Oh boy, this is a bad match. We have our match for our women's tournament for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. It's Charlotte versus Bayley. It did not have much heat. And did have some pretty terrible wrestling. Charlotte defeats Bayley in 8 minutes by submission, and moves on in the tournament. Charlotte had a 21 and Bayley had a 20. Crowd did not seem behind Bayley right now. It seemed really off her game. Both generally inexperienced right now, needing time to develop, and unfortunately we get a pretty harsh rating for this match just because they're not there. I don't normally look at the dirt sheet, but in situations like this I kind of want to see what really got us hurt here. And it was really Charlotte being inexperienced and inconsistency, as well as Bayley just getting a negative crowd reaction and also having inconsistency. So unfortunate, and ultimately kind of hurts us here. Afterwards, Charlotte does save it a little bit with her promo presence. She celebrates, grabs a microphone, says that she is destined to be crowned champion. It's in her blood. And it seems like the crowd gets her behind her a little bit, gets us back to a 27. And another segment does it a little bit better. Sami Zayn is backstage being interviewed by Renee Young. And Renee Young asks him basically how he feels about the match tonight that he has against Tyson Kidd. Tyson Kidd's been, recently prior to Arrival on a pretty strong winning streak, and he's strong competition, and Sami unfortunately hasn't been. And Sami says he isn't too concerned about the situation. He says he has a goal now that he's looking forward to. He's heard people say that he's just not good enough, and he won't accept that. He found a new energy and purpose, and that he wants people to leave tonight seeing that he's not just the friend of a champion, but that he's a true contender. Sami's got a groundswell of public support, and that moves him up in terms of popularity. Gives us a 38. The crowd is behind him. Someone who does not have the crowd behind him is Baron Corbin and CJ Parker, apparently. Baron Corbin has another squash match against CJ Parker, in which the crowd counts how long the match takes. Baron Corbin has a 27, and he ends up defeating CJ Parker by pinfall. CJ actually is a better wrestler than Baron Corbin, but we're pushing Baron Corbin a little bit harder. We do gain heat for the story. And so we are weak in our announcing, because we are getting penalties here for the announcing, and that's kind of unfortunate. So we are going to have to look for a better announcer to join the team. Pretty Vocal Crowd is not interested in seeing CJ Parker, which is unfortunate. And that's going to be a problem for us. I also see that Baron Corbin has poor psychology and is being penalized for trying to go all out. So I think what we're going to do for him, I don't remember what, we did do a Wild Brawl, so it was an all out match. I think we're going to start to script Corbin's matches and see if they improve. He seems to be okay with the crowd, and honestly, his in-ring performance isn't horrendous. But we might want to boost him up a little bit, because 18 rating kind of sucks for this match. Though a lot of that seems to be because the crowd just did not like CJ Parker. He's got go-away heat right now. And we have Bo Dallas in a match against Oliver Gray. It has a decent reaction, but it has subpar wrestling. Bo Dallas defeats Oliver Gray in 6 minutes by applying a submission hold. Bo Dallas has a 32, and Oliver Gray has a 24. Again, the crowd's not too thrilled with Oliver Gray. But the match did get the crowd hotter. Bo Dallas looked good out there. Ends with a segment with a 24. It's fine. A little bit lower than what we would want, but it'll live. We'll live with it. Afterwards, we have a slightly better segment, 31. And Bo Dallas grabs a microphone. Oliver Gray's still on the ground, writhing in pain. And he calls out, basically, Neville with his microphone. He says, "See what I did to your former tag team partner, Adrian? He didn't believe enough in himself. But I believe in you, Adrian. I know you're afraid right now and you cower backstage, but sometimes people just need a little motivation, a little application of pressure to become the men they are born to be. And as he says that, he kind of really hints at the application of pressure by taking his knee and driving it deep down into the lower back of Oliver, who's still laying on the ground. It pops Oliver up a little bit as he cries out in pain, and he uses that leverage to grasp him around the throat and starts wrenching his head back, so kind of like folding him up, like almost like an accordion, into a deep submission hold. The bell is ringing from the timekeeper repeatedly, and several refs come out to try to chastise Bo, all in futility. And Oliver continues to just squirm in his hands in agony, crying out. This brings out Neville. Oliver obviously used to be Neville's tag team partner, so Bo is kind of attacking maybe a sympathetic part of Neville. And he has a microphone in his hands as he runs out to the stage, clearly concerned for Oliver. He says, fine, let him go, and you can have your title shot. But he looks angry, and he says, under one condition, though, that if you lose, when you lose, you Bo leave, get out of NXT, and never return. Dallas agrees, and we do have a match, so it'll be Neville and Dallas officially for the NXT Championship, and if Neville wins, Bo Dallas has to leave NXT, which obviously will tie into his departure and give us a little time to kind of give him a reason to leave the company. And in our main event, we have Sami Zayn versus Tyson Kidd. Apparently had fantastic heat and great wrestling. Sami defeated Tyson Kidd in 14 minutes with a brainbuster. I have to take a look at their finishing moves. I don't think they have any of their finishing moves set up for some reason. As much as I would love to see a match just end with a brainbuster, one of my pet peeves in wrestling is that regular moves don't end matches more often. The idea that only a finisher can finish a match is silly to me. Sami Zayn had a 52. Tyson Kidd had a 48. His poor Tyson Kidd. He's in the main event. He just got divorced, and we're going to have him take the L for Sami. Sami Hang in the Big Leave storyline does advance and gain heat. They didn't seem to click and made awkward bout, unfortunately. Though I think overall they did pretty damn well. Sami still having that groundswell of support. People are olaying in the crowd and really behind him. It got the crowd buzzing. Ends the show pretty well. Unfortunately, I don't think... actually, better than I thought. That main event actually did a lot better for our rating than I would have expected. I thought we were going to be in the mid to low 30s. It's more than enough to get our popularity up in 24 regions, which is fantastic. I think we only need to do like above 20 right now, so that is a great show, even though the undercard was a little weak. We have some mail. Hopefully it's not a Sami Zayn call-up, or else I'll freak the hell out. A lot of people joining, Alberto Del Rio joining AAA. Anybody else in the world, really anything going on? AJ Styles is feuding in 2CW. Somebody we might need to scout out at some point. Kazarian staying in TNA at this point. All right, so we got drug testing fees, not a big deal. Our viewership rating was 0.08, not too bad. And obviously we know that Regal is going to be getting called up. We are still losing money from this. We're just not making broadcast revenue in the capacity that we need, though a lot of this is was originally our expenses as we kind of moved down. Our workers are still costing quite a bit, though. Drug testing actually being a big one. We might look at maybe removing our drug testing policy. Where do we do that? Because doing it after every show is killing us. Let's just look for hard drugs. Per show plus $1,000 lab fees per worker tested. Oh my god, it's so expensive though. We'll just do none. Here, what we'll do, okay, I'm not gonna do a lab test. We're not gonna do any lab testing. What we'll do is we'll do like quarterly testing, okay? That's what we'll do, because that is way too much money. That's ridiculous. We're spending like $52,000 a show on people getting drug tested. We don't need to test everyone every day, every show. That's silly. We'll test at minimum, or at max, maybe minimum once a month, maybe do once every couple months. I can't imagine WWE is testing people every week. That seems silly. We'll do a quarterly, yearly, or something like that, but that's way too much money that we're burning. All right, well, that was our NXT episode. I think it went pretty well. I was a little worried early on about some of the lower card, but Sami and poor divorcee Tyson Kidd bringing it in the main event. And I like where we're going with the Bo Dallas storyline. So that'll be fun to kind of see where that goes to. We now have NXT TakeOver in the cards. We need to do the Bo Dallas story, I think, I think we will have him for another 2 weeks, so probably the week after will be his go-away match. Unfortunately, Sin Cara will be gone by TakeOver, so we have to do a title match probably the same day. And we do Bo Dallas because we're going to have Kalisto and Sin Cara battle for the titles, and we'll have to figure out what to do with them at that point after that. All right, guys, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time for another episode of NXT Arrives.